Hello and welcome to another edition of Just the Facts. I'm Bob Grill and I am joined today by a very special guest. We're excited to have her with us at our Las Vegas studio. Miss Lyndsey, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Lyndsey Rodriguez is the Executive Vice President of Team Velocity with the OEMs, correct?
Yes, absolutely. That is my job description.
Would you tell the audience what you do a little bit for them and what's that about?
Sure. So I work with Team Velocity Marketing, and what I do specifically is I manage the overall manufacturer relationships, and I work with the manufacturers trying to get them to, adopt new products and really a new mindset. And additionally, my team and I serve many large dealer groups throughout the country.
Nice. We wanted to talk today about what is it customers expect. We know that the industry has gone through a lot of change in the last 2.5 years. You would agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
The manufacturers continue to go through struggles, creating inventory and being able to keep up with the demand. You go to most dealers today and you'll find that most of their sales are pre-sold or inbound inventory or the old order format, right? So that certainly changes the aspect of a customer that's used to go into a dealership and being able to walk 100 cars and look for the right color and do all those things, right?
Absolutely.
So what is it that a consumer expects today, right? Our friends at Google once told us not that long ago, actually, that what customers find scary today, you hear Alexa and they hear you looking at a book or looking up a book, and next thing you know, you get an advertising for the Stephen King novel you were looking up, right? Well, the thing about it is the newer generations want that. Like our older generations like me, we found it a little scary, right? That's a little unnerving, if you will. But that becomes the new normal. That becomes the expectation. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I think, as we look as our culture and as a society today, you look at Amazon.
Yeah.
And I really believe like Amazon has set the pace for personalization and what customers expect, right? So if I had to enter in my name and my address and my phone number every single time I logged into Amazon,
you wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't buy as much stuff on Amazon, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly
but
right.
really that is the pace. Amazon has set that. If Starbucks knows what type of coffee I want and United knows, that I'm on their flight and I could get upgraded, and, Verizon tells me every couple years that I can get a new iPhone. I think that is the new norm, right?
Okay.
And I think we are as an industry, we're a little bit behind on that personalization overall. I do believe that there are certain companies that are out there that do a really good job of providing that good customer experience. But I think as you look at, and you just mentioned the younger generation, I think it's, everybody is starting to adopt this way. Yeah, we're starting to adopt this way of living, I mean, listen, anything I can do, my dad can do too, which is really odd, right?
Right.
So,
So, we mentioned Amazon. That's probably the juggernaut. Are there other examples that you can think of companies that are out there, whether it's automotive or not, that you think kind of are leading that or maybe made some adjustments that are helping to what we're describing that our dealers can kind of use as a reference point? Or
I mean, for example, at Team Velocity, right? At Team Velocity, we offer customers a personalized experience. So we allow our dealers to adopt our technology, and within our technology set, we are providing customers a very, very personalized experience. So when most of the competition, I would say, that's out there, you're treating every single customer the same, and not just from Team Velocity. I mean, overall in automotive, right?
Yeah.
In automotive, every single customer is the same. So if I'm on my, normal OEM, standard program, I've got my scheduled maintenance reminders and so forth. Well, the reality is those are all the same. Well, we need to pay attention to where customers are in their life cycle. Have they visited? When's the last time they visited the dealership? What should we be offering these customers? If they haven't stepped foot in our store and they're technically lost, should we provide, a more aggressive incentive to get them into our stores?
Right.
Additionally, I think we, like Amazon, we can look up our entire purchase history. What's our service history look like? What is our likelihood to buy something else based on what we've already bought? We should be able to look inside the DMS and kind of trend behaviors and trend certain things that are going to happen.
Do you feel today's consumer expects everything to be digital, online, virtual, or is there still a more personable touch in certain situations, right? Like, do people want just emails and text and pop-ups and all, or do they want a phone call? Do they want at least an invitation to call the dealer, let's say? Or because I think, and I could be wrong, that's why we have people like you who are better at this than us. Not everyone wants to live in a digital space. As much as we try, it's colder. There's nothing as good as interaction if it's a good interaction.
I think at the end of the day, we're in the people business.
Right. Yeah.
So it depends on what the person wants.
Yeah.
But I think in order to talk to the person, you better have a really good online experience too.
Okay.
So I believe, as we, for example, transparency is key. Google has said it, we say it. We want to provide the right message at the right time through the right mediums and through the right channels. But I think in order to get that consumer to pick up the phone and call, we need to be good at the online part. But I don't think it's either or.
Okay.
Right? I think it 100% is a combination of both, right? So if we talk about transparency and go down there, if our payment is a certain amount, through the Google ad, they might have just clicked on. So they're searching for, a 2023 Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
If they're searching for a 2023 Toyota Camry, Google is the new first phone call.
Right.
It's not new anymore, but it's the phone call. You better respond with exactly what they asked for.
Yeah.
And then, if that payment was, let's say, $500, well, when they land on your site, that payment better match too.
Right.
And then if, the obviously we're going down this, digital retailing element too.
Yeah.
And not everybody, but a lot of people are starting to buy cars online. We need to make sure once they hit one of those digital retailing products, that payment matches as well. And so I don't think, again, it's an either or. I think it's a both. I'm one of those that is kind of in the in-between stage. I get to a point where I want to pick up the phone and call and have that personal interaction. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel like I can trust the person that I'm buying from, not just in the car business and anything I do, right? There's just something, like you said, about that human element that goes along with it.
Yeah, traditional methods of service, mailers, let's say, for example, and still get them in the mail. So it's old school. It's still around. But, the proverbial sending me information on a vehicle I got rid of 4 years ago kind of stuff, asking about people that aren't there anymore, how there's an element of that too, right? Like if a consumer gets information that's incorrect, does that go against the relationship they have with that business, even though that business is trying to communicate and trying to stay in touch and trying to stay front of mind? If it's the wrong data, isn't that as bad as it gets? Am I overestimating?
No, you're not. I mean, I'm similar situation. I got rid of a car in 2015 and I still get targeted about and mail sent to me about, it's time to add your service contract. Well, we're in 2022, we're 7 years past when I got rid of that car.
But they're so concerned you didn't get that warranty yet.
Yeah, they are. But additionally, I think it's frivolous spending too.
Right.
So if you look at it from both the manufacturer standpoint as well as the dealer standpoint, it's spending that doesn't need to happen. And there are many resources out there. I mean, we subscribe to what's called sales transaction updates. We don't necessarily know who bought that car, but we know it's registered to a new person. So we should be able to get our data right and know that, hey, this customer is no longer driving this particular vehicle, which would eliminate that spend for, again, the dealers and the manufacturers marketing to me about, the car that I no longer own as you experience yourself.
Yep. Now, following on your manufacturer partnership, right, with your OEMs and so forth, we also have partnerships with all of them, and they're facing inventory crunch, they're facing all kinds of stuff, and they've been leaning a little more friendly to the dealer on the used vehicles, right? As a
Correct.
matter of fact, a lot of the manufacturers now allow a dealer to certify even a non-brand, right?
Yes.
Although be it not as robust, but they still can do it because they recognize that the dealer's ability to stay in business is ultimately most important, right? So have you, in your interactions with the manufacturers, have you come across that lately? Are they asking for different ways? I know we both work with their CPO programs, right? You in a different way on the marketing side and us from the actual inventory side, right? Is there any synergy you can put there for what the consumer might expect? Because that's changing too. What the proverbial manufactured image is changing, right? The minute that Ford will put its name on a non-Ford product, that changes the dynamic, does it not?
It absolutely does. And I think, if you look at any of the manufacturers really and their openness right now, when I meet with the manufacturers, 2 years ago, there was no customer experience person. So now they are looking at, they most of them have newly appointed high-level managers or maybe even executives that are in a customer experience position. And so what they're tasked to do is monitor the customer experience from start to finish. So that includes from the time you start going after a customer all the way through till they buy again. So what they're doing is, you talk about, used, and they're sometimes certifying these vehicles. They're looking at that customer as a future opportunity.
Right.
They're looking at, so if, I have a customer that's driving a GM and I'm a Ford store, yet I'm certifying that, if I provide them a good experience, will they consider, my brand? Or, I buy a used Ford, right? And a customer might not even have considered that car before. Well, now they're considering it because they have to. Right? There's no inventory. So they have to consider this car and they have to consider this vehicle. And now how do I get them buying a new one? And how do I now keep them loyal to my brand? So two different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
But I think both very, very important. And again, I think these people at these OEMs are really tasked with looking at the journey from start to finish.
Yeah, when CPO first came around, it was Lexus who said, the best new car makes the best used car, right? They found quickly that was a way for conquest market share for people that wouldn't consider spending all the money on a new one, but would try sort of, and it's a high return rate, right? That's why they still do it. Do you think there'll be that ability with off-brand though? Is it because now you're relying on the dealer experience, not necessarily the brand experience, right? Would you agree with that?
I do, but I do feel like if you're looking at our world today, service is extremely important.
More than
ever, right? So I do believe off-brand is important, but I also believe that, and in conversion will be important in that off-brand. But I think overall, the dealerships are going to ultimately be responsible providing an even better experience.
Right.
So
I agree with you there.
Yeah. And you also have to look at typically the manufacturers, dealerships, regardless of where you look at it, sales is one department, service is another department.
Silos.
And they're siloed, right? And so what I am seeing, and it's encouraging, is they're starting to come together a little bit more. I still think we have a lot of work to do there.
Ain't easy.
It's not easy because, they're siloed. Typically they've done nothing together, and now they're starting to do stuff together.
Tradition gets in the way once in a while.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think change sometimes gets in the way.
Yep.
Right? So people naturally are resistant to change, but as you're seeing this world change, and really we've seen it change significantly in the last couple of years, and we're all adapting and still adapting.
We're still sitting here.
Yeah, we're still sitting here, all right? That's for sure. But it hasn't been without some learning, some battle wounds and so forth. So,
well, we titled this "What Customers Expect." So, in a brief 5-minute little thing, can I sum up what you feel, what you see, what your company is experiencing as to what customers expect today that maybe wasn't the same, let's say 2-3 years ago, and certainly 5 to 10 years ago, but even as recent as 2 or 3 years ago? Can you just kind of sum up what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so I think overall what customers expect, and I alluded to it before, we are in a business where people are making their second largest purchase.
Right.
And with that being said, I'll go back to the Amazon. If we can figure out what customers are buying and building those audiences of, what they're likely to buy next on it, through, obviously, if I buy a pair of baseball pants, for one of my kids, I might buy a chair next, right? So as simple as that sounds, like, we have to figure this out in our industry. So what we do is really focus on, again, each unique customer. We focus on personalization. So as I mentioned before, the website, for example, your website today probably treats every single customer the same. So whether I've bought, a car at a Toyota dealership and you've never bought one, Bob, we have the very same experience when we hit that site to buy another car.
Right.
Used, new, doesn't matter, or service, if we've been a service customer. And I say that we're in the business of getting customers to give us information. The reality is we need to give them information, right? So again, Amazon, if they knew who I was and I log in every single time, I'm going to have a very different experience. I don't want to tell you that my name is Lyndsey and that I've bought the last 3 cars from you. And I think that's expected.
It should be.
It should be expected, right?
Right.
So again, consistency, transparency. The customers are more educated than they've ever been. Right? And they want you to show up to the call. They want to know that what they search for online is what you are delivering to them. And again, making sure that payment matches across all of the mediums. And quite frankly, being able to predict their behaviors and sharing with them what's next. I also think, you talked about the digital world a little bit, and I forget what you mentioned on the product, but Siri or whoever's hearing you, and then you get retargeted, from that. Yes, it's a little eerie and weird, but today. But you're right. Google says a year from now, it's going to be expected.
And you'll be mad if it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're going to be mad if it doesn't happen. So I think one thing we've done really, really well is we are looking at a consumer's behavior across from the, again, initial engagement till the final transaction. And so I say, and my coin line is, I'm making invisible customers visible. Nice. So customers that we would not ordinarily know are shopping online, I'm tracking every single behavior. I know what kind of, we know what kind of car they're looking at. We know the stock number. We know if they're printing service coupons. We know if they've added them to their Apple Wallet. We know if they're actually transacting. And so we can relate all of that back. If they've left something and they started down, the purchase funnel and then they defected from the site, kind of like Amazon. We're sending a smart communication to these customers and saying, hey, did you forget something? Right. So we want to get those customers back and engaged because we know that's the future of our business.
So the dealer should be transparent, but the consumer shouldn't be. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think the dealer, no. So the dealer absolutely should be transparent. But if they bought from us before, we already know their information. We know their name. We don't always use it. So that's where we have started using it. We're using that information. It's literally, they log in one time and we know everything about them from that point forward. So,
and finishing up today, this has been awesome. We don't always get to speak to a person of your caliber and the topic that we're talking about. If a dealer listening today wanted to reach out to Team Velocity, how would they do that? And would you tell them a little bit about yourself and how they could reach you guys?
Yeah. So, again, I work predominantly with the manufacturers and, again, the groups. But what they would do is just reach out to info@teamvelocitymarketing.com. And, just send us a note. You can also find us on any of the social media channels and reach out, and we'll be sure to help you throughout the process. And again, if you just want to pick our brains, that's also what we're here for. We believe education is key in this ever-changing market. We want to share.
And you guys will follow up, correctly?
Oh, we will follow up. One of our core values is serve and accountability, and we truly believe in being accountable and serving overall the dealers and manufacturers and our partners.
Well, Lyndsey, this has been very enjoyable. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And for all of our dealer partners out there, thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.